So again, good morning, everyone. Just a reminder to all these attendees, if you have any questions, you can start to post questions into the Q&A box if you would like to do so. You may also post it into the chat box, but as much as possible, try to manage your questions within the Q&A box, yeah? And unfortunately, only the panelists and myself will be able to view the questions and also the list of attendees. For attendees, you will be muted so that it will not affect the whole duration of this session here. Yeah. Similarly goes to the panelists. I will need to mute you first. So when it's time for you to speak, then just please unmute yourself and then you can speak accordingly. Okay. So we will start the session now. Yeah. A little bit of who we are. KDU, UOW Malaysia, KDU. UOW stands for University of Wollongong, Australia. So at the end of 2018, there was a partnership between UOW and KDU. That's where we form a new entity called UOW Malaysia, KDU. As of now. So based on KDU background in the private higher education sector, we have 36 years of experience by now and a total of 4 campuses, 2 in Klang Valley. The picture that you see here is where I am situated now. This is our signature campus, a university college campus in Glen Mary, Shah Alam. Another one, the first campus that we had was in Damansara Jaya. And 2 more campuses up north. One is in Penang Island in Georgetown. Another one is in Batu Kawan as well. It's also another new signature campus as well in Batu Kawan. So because of our partnership with University of Wollongong, Australia, therefore now KDU also has the outreach of global network of UOW, where it also spans with studies and research opportunity with faculties overseas in Australia, Hong Kong, and Dubai. Okay, a little bit background of us. And today, I'm so grateful to have 3 panelists with me. The first are the 2 sector panelists first. The first one is Mr. Yeoh Chen Chow, the co-founder of Fave Group. Chen Chow, you want to say hello to everyone first?
And good morning.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah. So next we have Ms. Carol Fung. She's the head of SME and seller adoption from MDEC. Carol. Hi, Carol. You want to say hello to everyone first?
Hello, morning. Thanks for having MDEC here, and I hope that both sides will learn more from all the panelists. Bye, later.
Great. You realize that both these digital business people that like to wear t-shirts, right? They are quite trendy, I think. Yeah, and the brand is always there. And the last one, of course, is our advisory panelist here, Mr. Alvin Gan, the head of IT-enabled transformation from KPMG in Malaysia. Alvin, please.
Thanks, Dr. Brian. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so a very good morning to everyone. Also, a very good morning to fellow panelists, Carol and CC as well. Honored to be here in this panel discussion. Like what Carol mentioned, I'm here also to learn, especially from people like CC, how you guys run the business over there. Yeah, we are, because our office is beside the mall, One Tama, so we always use Fave as part of our payment. So good to hear from CC as well, how you guys run this business as well. So thank you for having us on board.
Okay, great. So again, this particular session, Industry Board session, is brought to you by UOW Malaysia KDU School of Business, and in advisory side is supported by KPMG in Malaysia here. Yeah, just to give everybody some context of this particular session here. Since last week, yeah, these numbers was last week numbers. We had about almost more than 8 million cases already about COVID-19. Yeah, and because of this widespread, it has caused a lockdown in most parts of the world, as we know, including Malaysia. And based on Bank Negara Malaysian's report 2020 this year, the Malaysian economy can weather these challenges and emerge stronger in putting one of the key factor on digital future. Yeah, that's the reason why in this particular session on industry product session to focus on digital business sector itself. Okay, and we also know that the Malaysian government has stepped up and introduced several stimulus packages, particularly supporting the digital business sector as well. In fact, if you look at the timeline there, the first stimulus package was announced back on the 27th of February 2020, that worth about 20 billion ringgit Malaysia, and onwards the current Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin announced the first Malaysia Prihatin economic stimulus package 1 month later, that worth about 250 billion ringgit Malaysia, and 10 days later he announced additional Prihatin economic stimulus package for SMEs specifically, that worth about 10 billion ringgit Malaysia. Yeah, and few weeks back, he announced the Penjana stimulus package that worth about 35 billion ringgit Malaysia itself. We also noted that the COVID-19 has quite enormous impact on the e-commerce situation in Malaysia. We see things, people are buying things online, including myself. Yeah, I think I spent a lot of money in the last few months. Yeah, on e-commerce, and I keep spending on it. I hope that yeah, my income will not be affected. Yeah, so this is really the new normal situation, right? Where people started to use a more electronic way to deal with their daily life usage itself. That's including what Chen Chow mentioned just now. People doesn't want to use physical money, so they may just use the e-wallet instead. It's also part of the new normal condition, right? And recently, KPMG in Malaysia also published a report on post MCO reset, and that specifically also indicated these digital business sector needs to surge, yeah, itself. Yeah. So what is this about? Later I'll let Alvin to go through with you all shortly. Okay, so therefore this particular virtual discourse session is really focusing on the condition faced by the digital business sector currently, and perhaps the panelists will be able to give everyone here some moving forward strategies going on. Okay, next I will pass on to the advisory panelist views first on digital business sector. So for this, I would like to invite Alvin for his thoughts first. Yeah, Alvin, I'll pass on to you.
Thanks, Dr. Brian. Okay, I think from the start of this pandemic, our global office sort of looked at it and said that I think we need to sort of put perspective to what's happening at the moment. Yeah. So to sort of come up with this sort of three phases that we are going through at the moment, the first being resilient, then recovery, and then new reality. Yeah. So from our perspective, the resilient part is really, I guess, where we sort of started, where the MCO started for us, right? I think we really had to take a hard look at how we run our business, right? So things like working from home started coming out. Yeah. I think the reality, of course, the other thing that sort of hit us was also, we found that a lot of organization was running a rather lean workforce. Yeah, of course, moving forward, where do we go from here, right? So I think for a lot of organizations, including ourselves, we had to take a hard look at how we run our business and what's important for our clients. Yeah, how do we go digital? Yeah, how do we communicate with our clients? So that's really on the first phase. Yeah. So now we're moving into the recovery phase, is where we are at the moment. Yeah. So we are starting to also learn what we did in the last couple of months. Yeah, we have to take the lessons learned. But I guess now the phase is really looking into how do we restore confidence, how do we get the economy back? So I think that's where it's starting to put in place. Yeah. But again, we're starting to see companies starting to look into e-commerce platforms. How do we digitize and so forth? But I think like what CC mentioned earlier just now, right? It's coming to a data-driven organization or economy already, right? We got lots of information out there. We got all My Sejahtera app and My Trace app as well. That's taking a lot of information. How do we support the businesses out there, right? How do companies actually support that? Yeah, of course, once we sort of get out of this recovery phase, it becomes a new reality for everyone. Now, until the vaccine is really found, maybe this is the new reality, right? we're hearing that now moving forward, weddings can be conducted, but in a smaller sense. Yeah, live sports can be conducted in that sense, but also in a smaller sense. So until the vaccine is found, the new reality is here. So I think it's timely that a lot of organizations out there really take a look at how it really impacts their business, right? The risks that they need to take, yeah. How do they better engage their customers? I think CC will share later, some of the things that he sees from a Fave perspective, but really, how do we better engage? We see things in China, there's a second wave coming. When we discuss with our counterparts in China, they are saying also that there's a fear of people going out back to the shopping malls. Yeah, so like what you mentioned earlier, Dr. Brian, people are buying online. So there is a great demand there. So how do we how do we wrap ourselves around making sure that we are on board in that sense? Yeah. So in a nutshell, when KPMG saw this globally, they came up with these 3 phases that what we see sort of addressing this pandemic at the moment. Yeah, no one is spared from it, but it's really a hard look at all of us have to take a hard look at our business, right? Even ourselves, we had to see the services that we were carrying, what is really important for our clients, and how do we engage with them. We had ongoing projects. Do we still continue, or our clients would say that do we do a hard stop, right? The world will stop. I think going through, I guess, the first month, after the first month, it was getting a bit scary. Is this the new norm? Is the economy stopping in that sense? So I think all of us really had to take a hard look in that sense. Yeah. So yeah, maybe I can just quickly sort of go into the next slide. All right. So I think Dr. Brian sort of shared with everyone earlier about this view. So I thought maybe this is a good segue to sort of look into from an industrial perspective. Yeah. So I guess the ones that weathered the storm is slightly a little bit better is on the right top corner. Yeah. So we see the online retail, the TMT guys probably have a better footing at the moment. Yeah, of course, on the other end of the scale, the transform to re-emerge, yeah, you hear a lot of challenges from the travel and the leisure sectors, automotive as well, healthcare, insurance, right? So these guys probably take a bit of a challenge for them to get back, or a higher learning curve to actually get into the digital side of things. Of course, somewhere in between, we have the hard reset as well as the modified business as usual. The hard reset, you're looking at really the airline business here. We have heard, airlines in Australia closing down, in other countries as well. So these are the really hard reset guys. And of course, somewhere in between, we of course have the banking guys and the consumer guys as well. Yeah. So this is a nutshell, I guess. Maybe throughout the discussion, we can touch base on some of these. So just give you a perspective from an industry, how it's hitting the different industries, and how, I guess, technology would need to play a role. Of course, the impact of this would actually be specific to each of these industries, and I guess we can talk about it later. Yeah. So over back to you, Dr. Brian.
Okay, thank you very much, Alvin. Yeah, I guess Alvin has really talked about the importance of data-driven concept, right, for most businesses, and of course, as what this report shown by KPMG in Malaysia, showing some for digital businesses more advantage against some other businesses or some other industries. Yeah, but how does it really work? We will talk about this more deeper next. Okay. So the next one, I would like to invite the sector panelists now to provide their views from the industry perspective. So the first one, I would like to invite Chen Chow first.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Brian. Yeah, so I think good morning, everyone. So I think it's great. I think that now Dr. Brian, so Alvin have already shared the frameworks, and I think where we see, and I think that I particularly like what the KPMG framework of looking at resilience. So I think let's say for us, we track the offline businesses, right? So our main target audience, we serve the restaurants, the offline retailers, beauty, wellness, attractions, hotels, and everything. So I think on the Malaysia standpoint, on the March 17 and March 18, basically is basically a cliff down, right? So I think during those first few weeks, I think a lot of the offline businesses, I think the restaurant owners, people doesn't know how to react, right? I think initially people were thinking it's 2 weeks. And then after that, I was thinking, okay, in 2 weeks, then we'll bounce back. And then the 2 weeks became 4 weeks, and then 6 weeks, and longer, right? So I think the resiliency coming along. And I think on the May 4th, when Malaysia reopened slightly, so the conditional MCO, where you can now start going out some bit for some part of it. So I think we started, and one thing we observe is also how people's behavior. Right? So I think like when the first few days where you can go out and dine in, people actually go out eating lunch first, but not at lunchtime. So we see the trend of people going at 11 o'clock or 2 something. So they go out, they couldn't stand staying on for too long already, but they are still a bit scared. So I think then gradually we see more people going towards lunchtime. And then after a couple of weeks, people started going during early dinner, 6 something dinner, 7 something dinner. And then now gradually on weekends, we started seeing at nights, people are more out again. But I think even today, if you look at 9 p.m. in Mid Valley, it's still quite empty. So I think there's still quite a bit of that shifting to go in. And I think that a few days ago, last Friday, we see Singapore reopening. It's quite interesting to see how the reopening trend is very different from Malaysia. Right? People will actually be queuing up at midnight. So at 12 something, the restaurants that open were actually full in Singapore. So I think I think a lot of these adaptations as we going along in this business part, right? I think, and this is on the consumer side, and I think on the business side is that I think what this part have all shaped us, whether all kind of business, is that there will be impact, whether positive, negative, short term, long term, and whatnot. And I think a lot of it is what's the new normal, right? So I think you think of it, would the restaurants be in such way where you alternate table for longer term? From a restaurant owner perspective, should they fully obey the law, or should some of them bend the rules? Right? There's a short-term gain, but also some risks as you go along. Right? So I think there's a lot of those aspects, and I think we also see that the businesses that I think going to accept that okay, the old norm is not going to be back fully, right? Especially those in a hard hit. I think as Alvin shared on the top left-hand corner, that the airline industries, the attractions, and all those kind of things, events will be a longer time to come back, right? And I think where for Fave is, I think we sort of in between. Our clients are all on the top left, which is the hard hit segment, and we are on the top right, which is on the digital front. So the challenge is how do you connect the dot, bringing the digital solutions to the offline businesses and connecting the dot. So maybe I'll pause here, and then looking forward to learn from everyone and engage with everyone today.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Sissy. Yeah. Next, I would like to invite Carol from MDEC to provide her views, please. Carol.
Our perspective as the government.
Can you repeat again?
Can you push back Alvin's first slide, the one with the resilience and reality,
Okay.
and all? Yeah.
Sure.
Morning to Dr. Brian and University of what? Wollongong, is it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Never been to Australia, so I don't know all these names.
No, mine is like Malaysia, so it's Malaysia KDU.
And I would like to apologize because Dr. Brian and team invited Surina, and she couldn't make it because all of us are hands on deck right now. We're doing a lot of Penjana initiative, planning, campaign, and all this. So everybody is busy. So I told them, let me take time off for an hour and a half to be with everyone. Hi to Alvin, first time I'm meeting you. Chen Chow, you and I busy at doing Penjana, we know that. Okay. COVID-19, when we had the MCO, I was elated. I was very happy of the development of all the e-commerce companies that are doing so well. Those are matured e-commerce company. They are doing well. Their sales are more than 500% surged. The one that's struggling are those that are not digitized. So 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, when I was doing eBay as an online seller myself, 20 years ago, that's more than 2,000. I think so. My maths are bad too, okay? Can't. You all rely on calculator right now. So I started selling since 1998. God knows what year is that. But on eBay, and Amazon is not even alive. Google was not alive. We were using Napster, is it Bing or what? Those are the era that we were in. And we had to use a camera with film to upload photograph. That was tough. We don't have tutorials. And now with the emergence of all this technology, we're taking advantage. My generation are very happy with all the technology. the toughest generation are those older generation who owns a business. Now they pass through their second and third generation. They're a bit stubborn, the older generation, to transform their business. But thanks to, I'm not being mean, I said thanks to the pandemic, they are forced to use the tools, explore what's available for them. And the government is also pushing digitalization initiatives to the micros, the machikia, and also the mid-tier companies who are not digitized yet. You would see that some of these companies who are listed in maybe in SSM, when you try to search them more in Google, they're not even online. Oh my God, you can't find information of them. Why are they not putting themselves into information? So it's a gold mine for e-commerce enablers to help them, but to match them, that was tough. So MDEC here, we had our COVID-19 relief directory, where all our enablers are there to offer. And besides that, the Bank Simpanan Nasional, BSN, also offers a grant for companies to subscribe to approved list of providers that they want to digitize the business in what area, HR, accounts, or they want to go for digital marketing where you want to use Facebook or live streaming. These are all matching grant up to 5,000 ringgit. So please Google BSN SME digitalization in Google. You will definitely get to BSN page. So this is a grant by the government. Then we have all the Penjana initiative coming up. Majority of the SMEs are excited. We have SME who are in mature e-commerce also suffered in sales because they were so used to offline. They have offline store. All offline stores are shut down temporarily for 3 months, and they were never putting much effort into their online store, never, because the daily operation was already a heavy task for them. So when they shut down, the number of messages that comes through, not only my phone, we have a lot of enablers also get bogged down by all these messages by SME. Help us, which platform is good for us to go online? We already online, but we cannot get sales. We already online, but not payment gateway. So these kind of messages, it's like, I don't take durian, but I call it durian ronto to me. So there are so many enablers that are there to help them. I'm happy because when this emergence of all these company coming up to us, I have to say myself in my heart, no offense to anybody, was a slap in their face. 10 years ago, when I was not even in MDEC, when I was doing a lot of public speaking to take people, to tell them to come to online, just go to Google, apply for a domain. Google was given, Google gave a grant of 1,000 ringgit to them to open up online store. Was never taken into consideration. The company was say, I got no talent, I got no experience in building a website. So now I'm just happy, and with now MCO is in recovery mode. More effort is being put onto digital marketing because it is a trend right now that, like, see, Dr. Brian is shopping online. I don't like to go to physical outlet now because every outlet that you enter, scan, put up, scan, put up, scan, put up. So that's a tiresome when you have shopping bags, when you have your mom and your kid with us, all of them have to write down and all. That's such a hassle. So it makes it easier for us to just shop online, So that's the new reality. So a lot of the businesses are in recovery mode, slowly recovery. But I give you an example, a case study. A catering company who was affected during COVID, hundreds of their events were cancelled because they couldn't have any events. So they had to trim down their staff. They had to kill some of the operation costs and also kill some of the benefits to their employees so that they can recover and they can pay back later. So what they do is they have to pivot. Majority of companies that are affected because they cannot do offline, they pivot. Some pivot into designing PPE, designing face masks, formulate sanitizers, putting fogging machine. They pivoted their business. So this catering company, because they are used to cater for a minimum 50 packs until 5,000 over packs. Who wants to order 50 packs into your home or office when you can't even have 50 packs at home? So they have to pivot into providing one packs of food, of menus, of meal. So they have to pivot that way. And when they pivot, it was hard for them to find riders. They have to connect with collaborate with the partners to do this. So a lot of them were forced to pivot their business because they never had this before. They don't know how to sustain the business. So their goal was not towards growth. Their goal was towards sustaining the business first. How? What can they do? What can they do? But now with RMCO, the recovery mode, they were so happy that now they can have smaller events of 250 people. They cannot serve buffet style, so it has to be butler style. Serve the food, each and every one of them. So it's a new norm. We hope that now with a lot of companies are going into the recovery mode, we can see that the e-commerce sales transaction is a little bit pulled down, no longer have a surge in sales, but this is June now, July you got the 77, 88, 99 sale. The Q3, Q4 sales are all coming up. So we're all in gear. The e-commerce companies are now all in gear to provide more campaigns. Platform providers are spending a lot of money to do marketing campaign to pull more sales to come into e-commerce. They can give vouchers, like how Fave will do that. Other companies will do that. So I'm liking it. Companies are struggling, but where do they get that kind of information? MDEC FB page has a lot of webinars that we have already done. It's already recorded there. Please visit and go to go-e-commerce, go-e-commerce.my for a lot of videos and also a lot of information there for you to digitize your business. Visit there, and if you have any question, like Dr. Brian said, post it, because all three of us will not be free. If you don't ask, we won't tell. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Carol. Yeah, really, really nice to have you to sort of summarize a bit of this whole session here. Particularly one thing that you talk about, right? The digital context that we have here, it's really about the whole ecosystem, right? It's not just about, I have a website means that I'm already in digital business. Yeah, then you have to think about whether you have a payment gateway or not, whether you have people to deliver things for you or not, and on, so on and so forth. Otherwise, if the whole ecosystem is not ready, it's quite difficult, right, for any organizations to really embark into this online or digital business per se. Yeah. So for that reason, Alvin, I would like you to maybe share a bit of your experience with us here. Since we have been working with a lot of several companies in their business transformation, right, into a digital context. What are the key challenges normally faced by companies when it comes into a transformation like that?
Thanks, Dr. Brian, for the question. I think, Ling, alluding to what Carol mentioned just now, I mean, there are a lot of factors that needs to be considered here, right? Of course, one, like you mentioned, there are the old school guys, yeah. So we talk about the, the people side of things first, right? So there are, business owners out there or senior people that are still quite old school, right? So I think this was a wake-up call for them. So previously, it was never much discussed, or there are times when we try to talk to them and they say, oh no, this is not something I know, please talk to my IT guys, right? And we know where's that's going to hit, right, in that sense. So from the business perspective, we really needed senior people involvement. Yeah, buy-in is very, very key. Yeah, so that's on the people side of things. Of course, changing the mindset of the people, the way they work and things like that, it's always been a barrier as well. Because when you look at technology coming in, does that mean I lose my job, right? So people, we needed to tell people, you need to look at reskilling yourself in a larger sense, right? How do you fit yourself in this new norm? How do you fit yourself into the whole tech play in that sense? Yeah. And of course, the other side of things will be the technology itself. Yeah. We find a lot of organizations are carrying a lot of legacy systems. It's not so easy just to move from on-prem to cloud, right? They're carrying a lot of legacy issues and things like that. So a lot of times when we talk to our clients, these are some of the few challenges they see, right? They are running a very monolithic type of environment. They can't just shift quickly and move towards a very cloud environment base where you look at microservices. I think CC is probably better at sharing this and how he runs the Fave technology, right? So a lot of these older organizations, for them to transform to a more modern way of doing, right? A modern workforce, a modern office space is not something quite straightforward in that sense. Yeah, so we need to go through that process just to tell them, yeah, it's not a mere lift and shift, right? Because you're carrying a lot of legacy infrastructure and things like that. Yeah, so they need to go through that process, to even move the infrastructure in that place. So you got things to consider, your infrastructure, your applications, right? You got the people aspects of things. So that's a hard conversation that a lot of organizations see, right? The minute they say, oh, my company is going through a transformation. Now, where does my people sit? And of course, when you look at transformation, you're really looking at two factors, right? One is, of course, are you digitizing, or are you going through a real digitalization as a whole? Yeah, so digitizing is just saying I'm looking at my business as is. So I'm just moving that to say, okay, I'm putting an RPA there, or I'm looking at blockchain technology, to support what I'm doing now, versus the whole digitalization play, where you're looking at really how do we do things differently, how do we get creative, right, and so forth. But like what we mentioned earlier, underlining all this is really data, right? To make sense of this data, you must have quality of data as well. So a lot of organizations out there, unfortunately, are struggling with the quality of data. Your version of revenue and my version of revenue is different. So do we have a single version of truth to that? So I think there's a lot of pockets of things to look at when you look at shifting, but of course it's a step-by-step process. Yeah. So from our perspective, look at priorities, what's important to you, right? From a KPMG perspective, you look at a connected enterprise. You got your front office, middle and back office. So which do you prioritize first, right? The ones that probably gives you the biggest revenue. Yeah, the ones that you want to focus on. I think Carol and Cece also mentioned about partnerships and things like that. So today we really talk about collaboration, right? How do you collaborate up your value chain, and how do you give more back to your clients? Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Alvin. So everybody knows that, especially during this MCO period, right, a lot of businesses are sort of driven to adopt this digital business itself, whether they like it or not, right? Because it's in order for them to stay relevant, to stay visible to the end users or consumers, they got to be online. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, right, Cici, in Fave, for example, do you see a huge, tremendous increase in terms of rate of listing businesses in your platform?
Thanks a lot, Dr. Brian. Yeah, so I think during the MCO period, I think the two parts, right? I think in terms of supply, I think the way we talk rate of businesses coming on board, actually it's more than 3 times, right? The amount of businesses that coming on board. And I think there are a lot of businesses that back then you may see cash only. During MCO, they had no choice. They actually came on board, right? So I think and let's say for us, we started seeing a lot of brands that previously do not, like I said, Ting Tai Fung, they actually came on board, TGIF, and a bunch of others, right? So I think it's good I think you see a new group of businesses that say now, yeah, we should. And I think the businesses are also connected a lot more. Let's say the F&B groups, they actually form a Telegram group and a WhatsApp group that they now talk to each other every day, right? And this was created during the first few days of MCO, because back then they were seeing each other as a competitor. And during MCO, where everyone business was sort of hit badly, right? I think everyone became friends. And I think that during the period, someone will say, oh, I no longer have rapper. Who can find a rapper? Oh, my meat supplier no longer supply me. Where can I get? Right? And I think it's seeing the collaboration. And I think that just like Alvin brought up, Carol brought up as well, I think the connecting and driving across, right? So I think it's no longer like one person can do all. So I think like, let's say during this period as well, we were collaborating with Facebook and Instagram, right, to drive adoption to digital. So I think something that previously we would not be able to think of, even like for a company like us, a smaller company, to be able to get a chance to work with them. And I think that Carol brought up the point on Panjana, which MDEC and MOF is involved. I think it was very surprised for us that to get a chance to work with all these giant platforms and the agencies, right? So I think to drive that adoption, and I think that from the traditional businesses, I think a lot of them, I think first part is mindset, right? So I think people need to know that, believe that, okay, now I have to change, right? I believe in it. And I think there are different people with different legacy. I think some of them is that maybe I'm comfortable, right? So I still remember that we went to one makcik to convince them to go on digital. The makcik said, oh, I've been around for a long time. I've been selling this nasi lemak for 40, 50 years, and I'm already old. I don't think I need any of this, right? I make enough money. But I think all these things now have to sort of shift. And I think that I started hearing more people that did not carry any cash or have not gone to ATM machines since MCO, right? And I think that's sort of a new behavior, people shifting through on that part, right? And I think the other one is that I think there are also some businesses that they may have got cheated or conned or misunderstood on technology before. Right? There may be people that could try to sell them something before, and there's this fear that this thing I may lose money, I may end up got into it. So I think that need to break through. And I think that there's a lot of efforts that's being built. I think Carol has been in this forefront of e-commerce for a long time, right? The god of e-commerce in the country. So I think that is building, connecting all the parts to drive that, right? And I think a lot of it is what we found is that the easiest way to convince them is their friends, their peers, to convince them, whether on the business side or even consumer side. I think what we found is actually housewives is actually a fantastic group to influence everyone. And maybe an example is, I think my the other founder, Joel, right? So I think one day he has been telling his family what he does, but his mom didn't understand. And I think one fine day his mom came back home and said, see, I found this site that is amazing and doing this. And after the mom showing off everything, I think he's like, Mom, this is my company. So the mom didn't know this. The mom knows that he's doing something like that, but I don't know what is the abstract world, something that online, I don't know what it is. But when the fear from friends and everything, it go in, right? So I think a lot of it is that part, right? And I think all of us we see older generations around us, and I think I think this push during this MCO, these 3 months, I think is open up a lot of people that who have never dared to try. Because once they try on one place, whatever it is digital, they dare to try on other things. And I think that's the shape. I think from the consumer side, businesses side. So I think that's how I see where it will live. And I think that where the new norm would happen as we go along right now on this point is that I think people would realize that it is easy, convenient, and I think let's say like how China has transformed, right? I think in the earlier days, China, let's say cashless payment were a lot of incentives. Like I was in Hangzhou in December. Almost every place is like no, they don't need to incentivize people. People will use it. And I still remember that there's one hawker that they actually put a sign there that say, if you want to pay cash, just drop in here. There's no change.
Right.
Yeah, pause it. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Chen Chow. Yeah, a lot of insights there, very interesting insights instead. In fact, right, when Carol talks about earlier on, you know, there are so many resources there available for businesses to adopt digital business itself, right? But most of them, they will first think about, can I do it or not? Yeah, because I wasn't educated in such a way. I don't think this is something for me and things like that. Since last 2 months, yeah, I've been conducting almost about 14, 15 webinars like this already, focusing on SMEs, specifically for SMEs. Yeah, and one of the key topic we found and we talked about was about mindset. Yeah, the mindset, human mindset itself. Regardless of how many resources you give to them or even government provide money to them to support them, but if they don't have the right mindset, things won't work. Yeah, the money will just throw on the drain, basically. Yeah. So for that reason, I just want to understand from MDEC perspective, right? Do you guys also look into you know, how to help business owners to have the right mindset, yeah, in adopting you know, digital business like this?
To change a person's mindset, you have to show them cases and testimonials. You cannot just push digitalization tools and all to people who are very skeptic. So we always push people who are already doing it, who are already having success, to share that out. So in MDEC, at MDEC YouTube channel, We do a lot of success stories. These are true success stories that we have. But we do have also people who are in our of course, we didn't showcase this. These are all the sharing in the community that we have. The community that I was talking about is called Go E-commerce, and the community is all about SMEs, enablers who wants to match in a platform to help one another. So there's more than 4,300 of them. Chen Chow is there, the Lazadas, the Alibaba, the Shopee guys, the Mart Dispatch guys, the Post Malaysia, the BNM is there, BNM being Bank Negara, SSM is there, MITI is there, Matrade is there, SME Corp is there. All of them are in this mobile chat tool, a mobile office tool called Ding Talk, not TikTok, Ding Talk. And when SME make comments, make reviews, make feedback, we as a government agency or as a government personnel will listen. And then some of them may complain, oh, this platform is scamming us, this platform slow, or this enabler is not delivering our products, got tracking number, never reply. So it's a not a platform to complain, but the platform, at least we hear them and we reach out to enablers and say that, hey, what's going on? But to change a person's mindset, you go through case study. And where do people get case study? It's through network and also through like a video. Now, we always tell our business owners, you cannot walk this journey alone. If you are not in the community, no one can help you. When you ask question, no one can help you. So, but when you're in a community, someone will come forward to help you. If you ask questions, hey, I want to go into subscribe to a HR tool. Where do I go? Which service is good? Because some of them may have feedback of getting scammed. We have enablers who are scamming SMEs. We do. Of course, MDEC will not vouch into that. So it's all about experiencing it. Luckily, some of these enabler tools are complimentary, free trial that the business owners can try before committing a subscription fee. So I share you one case study before I sign off. Before case study, we have two cosmetic suppliers. Okay, two cosmetic platform. One is selling purely on their own cosmetic and fulfilling. That means they process the order on their own, and they have a courier comes and collect the products from them. Another platform is a marketplace cosmetics where all the brands are in this place. So they also fulfill on their own. They have their own distribution center. I don't want to name names. Okay, so during MCO, luckily this marketplace has already shifted their storage, pick, pack, and fulfill to a e-commerce logistics fulfillment company. Before they shift this since last year, somewhere in August last year. But the single brand owners, they are still doing their own orders. They're still fulfilling their orders. So when MCO hit, these single one were in trouble because the courier companies are not efficient. There's a lot of backlog of orders, and you cannot come back to office to do your fulfillment because MITI not allowed. They didn't get approval from MITI. You cannot operate your business because you don't have approval. So they're struggling. But this company, they can still work from home because they already shifted all their operations and their business all to this e-commerce fulfillment company, logistics. So they don't have the business owner do not have to worry about, we can still work at home. We don't have to come to office. We don't have to come to office pick and pack. So they have the lucky stars with them. So that was very good. And I WhatsApp them and say that, you see, you guys are so lucky that without MITI approval or no MITI approval, they don't need it because they work at home. But the other e-commerce logistic company, because they're essential services, they have their approval as well. They already been fulfilling for a lot of e-commerce company. It doesn't cost a bomb for them, but by working together, the e-commerce enablers are here to help small micro businesses. They're not aiming for big major accounts. So they are here to help as well. So if you need, I will push my phone number in the group chat later. Just come and WhatsApp me if you need any connection, any helps and all. So I always post my phone number for you all, for everybody, because the WhatsApp directory that I have is like Mecca. It's like, wow, there's so many contacts that I've already saved up so that I can mix and match people. So to change their mindset, you need to have someone that really knock them out, move that needle for them and show them this is what other companies are doing. You don't believe me? You can go and visit them. You can ask them. So that's what MDEC does. We connect people. Thank you.
Okay, excellent examples and the case there. Yeah, we always talk about shared economies now, right? Yeah, so you can see a lot of shared platforms and a lot of ideas being shared out. But a lot of business people, they still have the old mentality that this is my own IP. For example, they always believe this is their own IP. In fact, it's not, right? Because ideas are just generic, basically. Yeah, until you actually come up with something really unique and you register it, then it becomes your IP. Otherwise, it's nothing different. Yeah. So the whole scenario actually changed as what we all mentioned earlier on, right? Including the consumer side as well. Now consumers are also a bit more cautious in their spending, yeah, and they are quite fearful in terms of the COVID-19 exposure, and that's why we say online sales and online purchase will continue on. If it's not even to a higher level, yeah, definitely it will continue on. And also we talk about a lot of businesses started to implement new technologies. Yeah, it's not just about getting a website. Well, that's the basic fundamental, right? Of a digital business. You have a website at least. If you don't have a website, at least list yourself in one of the platform, whether it's Fave or Lazada or Shopee. Yeah, at least you'll be visible online first. Yeah, before you move on further. For a bit more experienced companies already in the digital business for some time, they started to adopt even more Industrial Revolution 4.0 technologies like virtual reality, for example. Yeah, and recently I know one of my a friend of mine. He is currently doing eyewear business. Yeah, eyewear business. Yeah, and you know that during MCO period, people cannot go to your place to repair your spectacles, right? So what do they do? Yeah, so they started to make things a bit more virtual based. Yeah, you can do eye test online. You don't have to come to my place to do eye test, for example. Yeah, it saves a lot of time, a lot of cost as well. And they also use virtual reality for customers to select spectacles they want. So you just use a camera on your laptop or on your phone, take a picture, then they match the spec design with your eyes or with your shape of your face, for example, and it recommends you which design fits you better, yeah, as compared to what you like. So things are changing, right? A lot of these things, yeah. So from advisory perspective, Alvin, what kind of technologies you will foresee? Most digital business probably will start to adopt and look into this moving forward.
Sure, thanks. So I think you put a good point there. Everybody's talking about e-commerce as one of the key areas, and everybody has to jump on that bandwagon, right? In order to actually reach your customers. Yeah, but I think you also brought up a good point about the eyewear. We are seeing this actually the last 2 years already, where when it comes to clothing and things like that, you don't actually have to try on those clothes, right? You have this software that's able to match, your body shape and to the clothes that you're wearing, to give you an idea here again, because there's a lot of online shopping in that sense. Yeah, so those are the things. We're also seeing automation as one of the key areas, right? Because it's probably less dependent on human now, right? In terms of doing some of the processing and some of those mundane stuff. So things like RPA is starting to come into play, right? Automation, right? Of course, underlining all this, like I said earlier, is really about data, right? How do we make use of this data, right? So I think our neighbors here in IBM were saying, the real data of this world will only accumulated the last 5 years, right? Everything forward, whether it's IoT technology, blockchain, RPA, or anything else, really is about data at the moment. Yeah. So the basic fundamental is are we getting the right data to ourselves? Are this data providing quality to us? And are they giving us enough insights? I think what CC mentioned just now, the data that they're collecting. A lot of startup companies that we speak to today, like I said, they have really great ideas. But what is interesting about them, they have created another new business where they look at monetizing some of their data, right? Because they are the last mile, right? They are collecting stacks of data which the regulators may not be collecting, the banks may not be collecting, right? Because they are actually the last mile. So they're actually at the touch point of the consumers in that sense. So getting those kind of data and making sense of those data is something really, really key to help them actually move forward. So if there's anything, while all this computerization, digitalization is happening, I think the key thing is really about how much data, how much quality data we are collecting, how much insights are we giving to ourselves, to our value chain, right? And also, I think wrapping all this is really about the people. Yeah, as we are moving, yes, we see the trends coming. There are shortage of tech guys out there, right? We see 5G coming, right? Of course, nowadays we hear things like who's having the right infrastructure and so forth. But the next conversation is what value are you creating? I know in terms of medicine and things like that, right? Is anybody talking about the value that they can give riding out of the 5G technology? Because the things we are hearing today is that people have ideas, and things like that. They're trying to create more value, but really, those kind of things they're creating can run on 4G. Right, so being creative, being innovative, the technology is all there, right? It's just how creative we are, in making use of it, and that's where we see the trend moving forward as well. I think Carol brought up a lot of good points, where people are starting to explore, and having a no choice situation here. Obviously, it's a no choice situation here. Previously people used to say, like I said, when we go and talk to our clients about technology, the first thing they go and say, talk to my IT guy. And we say, oh, that's it's going to be very challenging because we don't get the business guys. But I think this pandemic has really, put a full stop to this, right? So people are starting to say that I don't have a choice anymore. I think alluding to what Carol mentioned, we have gone out there to some of this, coffee shops, and all of a sudden you see, Fave there, you see the payment gateway guys there, and different e-commerce platforms are there, right? So I think everybody is starting to realize, I went to a shop the other day, and this guy is so proud, he never comes out and talks to you, right? During MCOs, all of a sudden, he comes to talk to you and he tells you, oh, today, these days people don't dine in anymore, right? It's really about how people take away. So things are shifting, but it's for a good sense, in a sense. So I do agree with Carol in the sense that this pandemic has really woken everybody up, and it's not a choice anymore, right? Technology is here. You have to choose the shopping list of technology out there. The trends are there. But of course, like what Carol mentioned, it's CC as well. It's about showing them examples because it's new to everybody. So there's a fear there, right? In psychology, there's always a fear that we don't know what it is. So nothing better than to show examples, like what MDEC is doing. They are just sharing, the different types of things that has been done, right? And so forth, so that they get a better feel of what they're going into and so forth. Thanks, Dr. Ron.
Okay, great. So it's really about technologies that enables businesses to gather more quality data, right, for them to further grow their business. That's more important in that sense, right? And also, I realized that during the MCO period, the last few months, we noted that there's a shift of a lot of businesses from the usual e-commerce to what we call live commerce. Right, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, especially, you can see a lot of people doing live session and started to sell things on live. Even we see Shopee and Lazada also have a live session now, for their sellers to do so. What about in Fave case, CC? What is your view in this live commerce thingy?
So I think to be honest, we are a bit laggard in this. We do some, but I don't think we are at the forefront. I think that in terms of live platform, I think we have done several sessions of that. But I think the Lazada, Shopee are sort of in the cutting edge. I think they are way ahead on that. I think we were involved in recently when Facebook themselves, they're trying to drive during Ramadan, try to drive the live streaming, promoting, selling as well. So I think that we sort of working out different ways to see how it works. And I think we actually have also enabled the Instagram takeover or Facebook takeover. So I think once we get Gajen, the comedian, to take over our social media and then do it. So I think a lot of it is how do you make it interesting? I think doing it is simple, right? So tomorrow we can all go on it and do it. But how do you create that engaging information that people want to come back and tune in? Right? Because during MCO, there are just so many, right? I think like let's say you think about, I think I have done the last 3 months more virtual talk or all these live sessions than I have done in my whole life, right? So I think a lot of people is like that. So I think now where people have a choices is how do you engage at dating? And I think that as we do drive this, all this session is leveraging on data. I think Alvin just talked quite a bit on data, Carol. I think in the end is how do you enable that for people to know? So let's say when you do a live sessions, what are you trying to drive? Can you handle the peak of sales at that moment? Because your platform may or may not be able to handle that spike, right? And then what kind of things should be ready? Like what kind of things should you sell, right? Well, how do you attract the right audience? Are you doing this for branding awareness? Are you doing this for conversion, right? And everything on it, the live streaming, everything in the online TV shopping, I think that this has already happening for sometimes. I think good old days, the people on the TV channel try to say buy this, buy that, right? I think right now they sort of democratize it to everyone, any one of us. We can all go down there and promote. And I have seen one of my friend who's an influencer, she just keep on contacting different brands and say, hey, give me this thing for free. And then she go and unboxing it and everything, and then she got like things that's 1,000 ringgit for free, right? So I think it just sort of open up different channel. And I think that for people, I think it's go out there and just try. I try simple one. What's the worst case? Worst case is no one watching you. That's the worst case, right? And you wasted half an hour, 1 hour of time. But practice makes perfect. I think you would gradually do it and engaging to people.
That's right. Okay. So well, of course, when we talk about live commerce, right? We also have a question whether in terms of policy wise, so from the government side, is there any new policy coming up to govern live commerce? Because as I understand, the context and the way live commerce works and e-commerce can be a bit different. So Carol, would you have any comment on this in terms of policy wise to govern live commerce?
The live commerce policy, well, MDEC is not a policy maker. Right now, it's more on what KPD and HEP will come into place. I do not know, we at MDEC, we do not know what kind of complaints are being received from FB Live, but I do believe from cybersecurity and KPD and HEP, there's a lot of scams going on. There's a lot of FB online scams, more on FB Live scams. In 2 years ago, KPD and HEP has placed a requirement saying that anybody who has a business page, FB business page, must put in their ROC, ROB number. Okay, but a lot of FB, there's no governance on this. KPD and HEP do not have the bandwidth to go and check the hundreds and thousands of FB pages inside there, so there's no governance yet. So it's all up to consumers' due diligence to do background check on people's purchases on review, go to an FB page that are more established, not on personal page. Those people who are doing live on a personal FB page, don't go there. Try to go to a FB page that is established so that you won't get the risk of getting scammed is much more lesser when it comes to FB page. Because FB page, when you report, let's say when you get scammed, when a group of you report to FB will straight away shut down without even hesitate. So it's all about the due diligence of a buyer. And I always tell our network, why would you want to spend more than 200 over products onto an FB? Why not try to go to a established website and buy from it? Or now you can go out and buy from an established a physical outlet, because there's no way that I will tuck away my money to buy a mobile phone online because I'm scared. But if the platform is a reputable a brand platform, okay, I'm okay. but it's still that 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 ringgit worth of mobile phone, and I still buy online. I don't even trust the courier companies that send over. I don't. Not in this country. I don't. So it's about your due diligence. If you are to buy anything that's above 200, please make comparison, hear from reviews. You just post something on FB, hey, I'm trying to buy this. Anybody has bought this? I'm sure some of your friends will definitely come into your rescue, into your questions. So this is our sharing at the moment. So we can't put so much of a policy. We don't receive that kind of insights from buyers and sellers. This is more on the Ministry of KPD and HEP.
Right. Okay. So the reason why I raised up this thing is because when we talk about new normal, it's really about transformation of the whole setup of the business, right? It's not really, a lot of companies thought that, okay, I just go on digitalization means I already in the new normal. It is not true, right? Yeah, that is just digitized. Yeah, it's not true, right? Yeah, that also includes whether the policy is changed or not, to accustom the new normal as what we were saying. So last 3 weeks when we had this the same borak session on these private higher education sector, so we've been talking about international students are not able to come back to Malaysia, and therefore but they will still go online, because you can study online, but if this is a trend moving forward for the private higher education industry, that means we can develop programs to be offered online, cater for international students, where these students don't even need to come to Malaysia. They can just stay put in their own country and study, and pass our exams and get the certificate. So in that case, I bypass altogether the requirement of international students' requirement to come to Malaysia. I don't have to pay those additional fees for immigration, for example. Then it comes about quality concern, like what Carol you have talked about, right? If it's not from a trustable source, a reputable one, you have a problem. So when it comes into live commerce here, and I realized that in the past few months, artists, influencers, these are people that are much affected by COVID-19 and the MCO period. They have no chance to go and do shooting or and whatsoever not. They venture into live commerce. If you're pretty enough, you sell beauty products, right? Health products, very simple, slimming items, slimming products as well. All do this online in their own personal account, and they have a lot of followers there with them, right? They have much more follower than your usual PNG website or Instagram, for example, as compared to that. So that makes a bit worrisome, right? So do we trust these people? If yes, and now we are seeing artists from Hong Kong, for example, from US selling items. So earlier on we talked about digital tax, right? The government want to tax digital tax, to overseas businesses that runs getting businesses in Malaysia. But this is even more difficult to track, right? If these are all personal, individual people,
Right.
So this is really an interesting thing, right? To see how the whole e-commerce and digital business sector is going to transform, from all different sectors per se. So from maybe Alvin, from your side, based on the experiences in overseas, for example, in KPMG and other countries as well, do you see these are the common things that are happening overseas?
Sure. I think just to touch on your point on live commerce just now, right? I think a couple of years back, Kim Kardashian sold like, I think 15,000 bottles of perfume within seconds. So I think getting a celebrity definitely is something, that will help the, push this agenda. But having said that, I think what we are seeing also is that while we're talking about the whole digital technology thing, the next big question to ask is about the digital trust, right? What about security? What about data privacy and things like that? So those are the things, like what you mentioned, do we have legit businesses out there? So these are sort of the bigger questions being asked, right? So we are pushing up the agenda in terms of getting people to jump to the digital space, going online, e-commerce. But the next big question is really about, is there a trust level there? It just takes a small error to happen or a mishap to happen, and then it will blow things out of proportion again. So I guess for us, what we are seeing here is that while we are pushing the digital agenda, the next question is really that how do we build that trust, right? That consumers' information is protected, right? Data privacy laws are followed, whether it's within the Malaysian purview or, we will cross over to Europe, GDPR will come into play. So a lot of conversations that we are having now with our clients is really about data privacy, right? How do we keep our data intact? We are leaving our names, our numbers all over the place at the moment, right? Just to register, I think bring a point that Carol brought up earlier, we work beside a mall, to go to lunch, I go through, I think, 10 hurdles, right? just to get to lunch, right? I get scanned, when I enter the building, when I cross over to the mall, I get scanned one more time. I go to the restaurant, I scan another time. So it's information that is going all over the place at the moment. So the big question next is, like I said, the digital trust. There's collection of data here and everywhere. Yeah, we are, of course, a topic, it's important that we get those data, but really how do we govern that trust level there, that, data is not misused and so forth. So I think that's really the next big conversation that we need to sort of look at now while we sort of go through this whole digital process. Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Brian.
Right. Okay. Cici, I just want to get your thoughts, right? As all these new normal conditions has taken into place, and of course understand that your business listing, for example, has 3 times higher. Yeah, but that actually still requires a Fave to change of your business model or something for this moment to adapt to the new normal.
Yeah, so I think as our business were affected as well, right, during the 3 months, because I think basically we earn via transactions. So transaction when you go out, dine in, transaction when you're in offline retail, transactions when you do a massage or stay in hotel. So we were affected as well. So I think one of the things that we did also is like, where should we focus? Where is the core? Where is peripheral, right? So I think that's one of the things that we're going through. And I think during the COVID period, I think few things that help us. I think one is that I think with a lot of webinar from around the world, I think whether from China, Korea, US, different parts of the world around, including these regions, I think learning from that. And I think a lot of the advisory consulting, like KPMG and all those things, all provide bunch of 20, 30, 50 slides of PDF with all kind of frameworks, right? So I think it's looking through all those kind of frameworks and see which of those relevant, the checklist, do we look into it or not? So I think there's a lot of adaptations on it. And then I think that we also look back at all our costs, right? So I think a lot of time in the good times, you may not be as conscious. So some of the things, sometimes we subscribe to online tools, right? So we may subscribe to, let's say we have 40 staff, let's say you may subscribe 50 users, right? But because you're thinking that you're going to get the users soon, right? Or sometimes you say how many emails you're going to send the package, you may subscribe to, let's say 100 million email, but then when you actually have 80 million, because you're thinking you grow. But during this period, you actually can optimize a lot. And I think as we go through that, we're actually able to cut through a lot of non-essential costs. And I think looking into different aspects, that I think that's internally, I think there's quite a bit of adaptation. And I think also which product to focus on at which point. So let's say during the MCO period, we decided to push on Save Our Fave, which is a digital gift cards. So basically people pay in advance and then they go to the shop within the 6 months. And why we eventually choose that product was because I think that the businesses need capital, so that we can pay them in advance before people going in. So it's a capital, providing capital for them and assurance and help them recover. So I think right now when the places are open, we see people, those that have bought e-card, gone back to those places to utilize, right? So I think that's sort of one of the channels. And I think we decided that during the MCO period, until end of May, we basically waive all the charges. So I think that's one aspect to be part of it within that, right? And then one of the consideration during that time was whether should we drive people to do takeaway during MCO. And I think we decided not to, because especially if you think of it in late March, this MCO started, if we drive everyone back out to go and do takeaway, you actually will be contributing towards maybe increasing the curve, right? So I think we were talking about flattening the curve at that time. So we actually decided to say, let's not do that. So the social part, so and actually even among the restaurant owners, that we were discussing with them and say, okay, should we not? And I think a lot of restaurant owners decided to say, let's not do that, because we want to be part of this community society to stem this thing, right? Because I think in the end is how do we as a community be able to drive forward. And I think right now during the recovery, I think then we started seeing slightly different aspects as well, right? So I think it's cashless is one of the aspects. We started driving through the off-peak, so driving people to go eat meals at off-peak hours, because I think pre-COVID, a lot of time when we go out to eat, the longer the line is better, better food, right? But now is that I think you go, oh, this shop looks empty, let's walk in, right? Especially, and we also see that the people that are going out, people with kids or elderly at your home or frequently visit, people actually reduce going out or actually not yet going out, right? Whereas a bunch of people, so I think then when we talk about restaurant owners as well, there are two types of behavior. So let's say thinking of like menu, the physical piece of menu in it. There's a group of people that said, I don't care. I still want the original paper menu, because those are the early groups that go out, right? Because they're like, okay, I dare to go out, I don't really care. So they want physical menu. Any form of digital, the consumer side, they don't want. And then there is another group that is like, hey, I still not confident to go out. And one of the factors, maybe there's menu, there's money, there's various things that I don't want. So I think in the end is how do you adapt to these norms? I think that's how you see, and I think if you think of it, the last 3 months, we humans, whether individual companies, are very versatile and adaptable. How many things have we shifted? I think things that were 3 days ago earlier was the old news, right? Old norm. Right? People shifted few days, like every announcement, everything's shifted, right? So I think that's sort of the new adapt, and I think that help everyone to now adapt, right? So let's touch wood doesn't happen, but what if there's a second wave? Right? One day there's a second wave that we all back to lockdown. And let's say for all the businesses out there is, are we going to be able to be handling it better than the last time on March 18th, or same or worse, right? Because I think that will be acid test, right? I think something that simulation, because, and I think that in future when we do business planning, you're going to include this kind of scenario, because if you think of it, late last year or early this year, January, when people do 2020 planning, I have not found someone that say in their 2020 planning say that everything closed, right? Everyone stay at home. Because in any scenario, you don't do that, right? I think maybe in future, this scenario will come. Right? Yeah.
True. Okay, thanks a lot, Sissy. So last part of today's webinar is I would like to talk about on cost containment strategies here. Since in this difficult time, and I think the last few sessions, KPMG advisory side also talks about businesses need to be able to sustain, especially in terms of cash flow. So at least for the next 6 months to a year time for them to revive. To the usual place time before. So in regards to saving money at the same time, and they need to invest into digital business, for example. So from MDEC perspective, what is your recommendation to the smaller businesses, for example, in SMEs in your area portfolio, Carol? How can they manage that in terms of financial or funding requirement when adopting to digital business?
In my portfolio, because it's e-commerce, I can't give what do you call that, advice on funds and all. This is belong to another division. On my part, where we view this as our e-commerce enablers are very generous enough to onboard our SME on a softer cushion of costing. It doesn't cost them a lot. Some even give free, some even give them free trial for the next 3 months during the MCO. So it doesn't affect them because there's no involvement of hardware or techware. It's just very cloud-based. So majority of the e-commerce enablers are forking out at their own cost, helping the SMEs. Very, very, very generous of them. So when there's so much of offers out there, the SMEs can choose and try which one suits them, because not one enabler can fill the formula of that company. So in order for them to save money, the cloud-based solution is much more apt for them, instead of getting hardware, getting the techware, the hardware. All that one is not their we don't advise that. So 99%, almost 100% of our except those F&B who may need that little tablet, but they cannot do their business. So 100% of our enablers are all cloud-based. And when it comes to training, it's all online training, cloud-based. And when Dr. Brian, you will mention a lot of the private schools or even government schools or universities right now, the only weakness when you do a lessons like this in WebEx, Zoom, or whatever channels, let's say I'm a lecturer and you're the students, there is no, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you can tell me, is there a university out there in Malaysia that has a full-fledged academic webinar like this, whereby you can rate, you can immediately throw questions, and you can get the scoring of all the students doing all the tests on their laptop, and then the lecturer will get all the inputs done on the same time? Does any university has that?
Well, I just give an example from our side, right? So, for example, we do use different platforms to conduct assessment, for example. So let's say in this class, in this session itself, assuming that we link to Google Form, for example, so then students can actually go to Google Form and perform the assessment, and the results we will just download from Google, basically, as it is. But that is only for objective questions, it's pretty simple. But if you're talking about subjectively, if they're supposed to do an assignment, what we do is that we will give feedback on the spot. So instead of asking students to write, we ask them to share a photo or share a video, for example, that tells or that can represent what you're trying to say to us. So I think the concept of
right?
Sorry?
You haven't seen a full-fledged one, right? I've seen it.
Yeah.
So I've seen it. I have gone through it, and I am learning it. And of course, I don't have students in front of me. My students are all SME. And this tool, you can put lecturers' assessment, like the students scoring reward point when they logged in. You can throw questions to them. You can see their attendance list, everything online. Perfect. And it's designed by the people in China. So I'm using it in our Go e-commerce community. I was like, wow, I was blown away. This is really full-fledged academic platform. Very good for universities. So I'm trying it for my community. My community are business owners. So input videos inside, which is YouTube. Now, when you push, let me tell you, when you push videos to people who you want to track, you cannot track inside YouTube. Cannot. But this one, when I throw you a link, I can see, oh, he's only 87% only watching. So I'm going to put notification, please watch all the video. So it is such a perfect tool. I was like, wow, I'm amazed at this tool. So I'm using it for the past 1 year, 1.5 years, but just at my own testing for my community. So we're not ready. I don't think any of the Malaysia enablers have seen this or can build this. And I'm so glad that I get my exposure on this tool. And I hope that one day one of our Malaysian company can come up with these tools and to pass it on to the education industry.
Right.
That's
excellent. Great. Well, there are some learning management system available. Which most universities probably would be adopting it. But if you're talking about the whole full-fledged, maybe you're right. They can do certain things, but not certain things. Not everything in one whole platform
system
itself.
Yes.
The whole system itself. Right. Excellent.
But you will like it.
Definitely. I just like, I always tell
demo to you. I should demo to you one day.
You should. Correct. I always tell my colleagues, right, if technology is not there to help us to enhance our efficiency and effectiveness, don't use it.
Correct.
You're just wasting your time. Might as well just use the usual Excel file, for example.
Any one of you, 4 of you, extra me 3 of you, do you use TikTok a lot?
I don't. Not yet.
Exactly.
Not yet.
Chen, you use TikTok or not?
No. I don't use TikTok, but what Carol just mentioned, TikTok, I see it happen when I was in Alibaba for during the founders.
Very good.
They use
Yeah.
everything, right?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
called
They-
DingTalk e-learning tool. So perfect.
Okay.
DingTalk School and DingTalk e-learning tool. So the schools are using this platform to teach, and while the teacher is in city and the students are in rural, and they've got this TV, they just teach, and everything is being captured online. You can check attendance, everything is captured, everything about the AI is fantastic.
Excellent, right? Well, we even have used certain softwares and programs that assess students according to their level of understanding of a topic, for example. Yeah. So we treat every student differently. Okay. So if you are faster learning, so you will get a bit more challenging questions as compared to another students a bit more slower learning. So they will get easier questions, but slowly build up the understanding. And that should be the right way, right? Otherwise, the weakest one will always get left behind because they will not be able to catch up, with whatever you teach in class itself,
Good.
right? Okay, my last question for Alvin here is that, so since a lot of companies, if, moving forward, if a lot of companies are really adopting digital context into the businesses, do you foresee that companies might also actually doing downsizing as part of their cost containment strategies in that sense?
Sure, thanks, Dr. Brian. So I think when we sort of started this conversation, I mentioned about some of the realities that came out of this, right? So a lot of organizations found that they could run their company or their business with a very lean workforce, right? But I think it's not so much of the number at the moment, right? How many people you have, but actually the skill that you have to share with the organization. So I think that the messages that went around, especially during MCO time, was there was not a lot going on, so people were sort of reskilling themselves to take up new certifications or new skills and things like that. So I think everything is about people, right? We need our people to run our business. We need the right skills to serve our clients and so forth, right? So I think it's really about how the people adapt to the situation that they are in at the moment, right? Understanding what's out there, not to have a fear of technology and things like that. But it's really about, even ourselves in the technology space, we are continuing to learn the new skills, the new programs out there, right? Just to make sure that we also are able to recommend certain things to our clients. So I think the bottom line is really, not about, how many people you have. We have conversations with our clients today, just because of what has happened during the MCO. It's taught them that, that there were some people that, were not given laptops, to work during the 3-month period. So effectively, what is their role in the organization if, working from home is the new norm, right? So questions are being asked at the moment. So I guess the message to this is that, HR departments will have a hard look at, the people within the organization, right? But not so much to downsize or anything like that, but how do we move our people to another level, right? We want to be a high income nation, right? But we are still doing very mundane work, right? So how do we upskill ourselves? You guys in the education sector, we need to see how to sort of also work with, professionals out there. How do we reskill some of our people to say that, they play a bigger role in the organization? Yeah. Thanks, Dr.
Okay, thank you very much, Alvin. Okay, so the last piece of advice from my panelists, Sissy, can you start with first? Your last bit of advice for everyone.
So I think to everyone is, I think, embrace it, and I think is focus on solving your problems, right? So I think whatever business that you are at, be traditional, offline, or anything, I think of what problem you try to solve, right? And I think using that digital technology, everything is to make it easier, cheaper, better, faster. And I think the other one will be think big, but start small, and okay to fail fast, but whatever works, how do you scale faster?
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Sissy. Carol?
Alvin and Chen already take everything. Carol is here. MDEC is here. My WhatsApp number is already displayed on the Q&A. Reach out to us, but don't call WhatsApp. Like Chen say, think big, but start very small. There's available tools out there. Don't hesitate. try first. Mistakes that you make, you can always learn back because it's only cloud-based. You doesn't have to take 1,000 over ringgit. Some products is only at 20 ringgit a month. So what is 20 ringgit a month when you can invest in that? So you don't know which way to invest, where to subscribe to, let me know so that we understand your business model. So we are here for you. Okay? Kita jaga kita.
Thank you very much, Carol. And Alvin? I'm going to play your slide, right? Yeah, correct.
So I think just to wrap around what we've been discussing maybe over the hour, right? So it's really about digital mindset at the moment, right? It's like, I think when we first started the conversation, we said there are still some old school guys, out there that are still fearful of this. It's not a wait and see at the moment. Yeah, we have to adopt technology in some way, shape, or form, right? To really get to our clients, continue our business, and so forth. Cost, like you mentioned just now, is one key area that all organizations need to take a hard look, right? We need to find ways to better engage our clients. Is it looking up the value chain? Is it collaborating with people and so forth? Yeah. Of course, thirdly, is working from home, like what CC mentioned just now, right? China has seen a new wave as well, right? If this is the new norm, this is a new reality, right? So we have to adapt. We have learned, like I said, from the resilient part. We have learned from the recovery part. If this is the new norm, we just have to accept it, right? And of course, there are flexible solutions, like Carol mentioned. There's so much solutions out there. There's a cloud-based solution, and so forth. So you don't have to go really big. Yeah, try to understand what you need at the moment. Yeah, and of course, the last point is really everything is a service, right? We are in a demand economy, right? So there are lots of solutions out there that's able to serve the different types of businesses, whether you're SME or larger organization. I think it's just, like I said, taking a hard look at where you are at the moment, know where your strengths are, know where your partners are, right? Looking at the different businesses that you're in, right? And also not being afraid to have that first conversation with people like MDEC, right? And in terms of, how do you go forward and start adopting technology moving forward now? Yeah, so I hope what we shared resonates well with everyone. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Alvin. So it's really just a short summing up here. It's really a digital business, as what Carol mentioned. It's not really that expensive here, as most people would thought. It's not really about investing into hardware, which costs much more money. Yeah, but there's so much more cloud-based solutions out there to help companies to transform themselves into digital business. And as what CC mentioned, yeah, we can always start small. At least you start with something. Yeah, otherwise you will be nowhere. Yeah, it will just left wherever you are. And of course, for the transformation, it requires a lot of mindset change, a lot of new technologies adoption as well, but get it somewhere to start with first, right? So that's all for today's session. Yeah, thank you very much for attending this last Borak session. Yeah, with my three guests here. Thank you so much to my three panelists, Yeoh, Chen, Chow, the co-founder of Fave Group, Ms. Carol Fung, the head of SME Seller Adoption from MDEC, and also Mr. Alvin Gan, the head of IT-enabled transformation from KPMG in Malaysia. So have a good day, everyone, and stay safe. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you very much, panelists. Bye-bye.
Bye, Alvin. Bye, Chen Chow.
Thanks, everyone. Stay safe.
Take care.
Bye.